up to something. They were in that brand new Mercedes Benz at the traffic light. And I didn't know it was them because I didn't know I knew anybody that rich. And that was so exciting when I looked over there and it was Scott and Juliet and they were peeling down the road. And it was so funny that they got here about 15 minutes before me and I ran the red light. And that's because I drive so slow. I drive like I'm 100 and so they just peeled on by me. And then I missed the entrance into the church because I didn't know where this church was, guiltily, and so here I am. So I'm very happy about that. The next speaker, I would marry this woman. She is so beautiful and so nice and so charismatic and such an absolute wreck when it comes to doing things right. It's unbelievable. So the presentation that we've got in the back office almost on how to present this opportunity the right way takes real skills. And Denise and I have been in this business together for over 20 years, talking about longevity for over 20 years. And the reason I tell you that is we've got this new presentation going where we're trying to teach you the mad skills to do it the right way. And we aren't going to release it until you know that, but I didn't realize the extent to what Denice was taking this until I said, I've got to present the note. I've got to present the business opportunity. And have you taken any notes on this? And she said, as a matter of fact, I have. And she had 8. This presentation is 45 minutes long. It's off of a PowerPoint. It is rock solid good. And you should be able to do it in your sleep if you just practice it and practice it and practice it until it comes out naturally. And I thought everybody did that. She's got 8 pages of notes, and it is down to the absolute dotted I, cross T. She has got this thing, it's in her DNA, and I did not realize how brilliant she is. I swear, because what? That's not an insult. So I'm reading this thing, and I'm like weeping because it gave me such access to what I already knew, but it was in black and white, so all of you can learn it. So she decided that she was going to come up and teach you what she had taught herself, which is what a concept that is. Because I never taught anybody anything in my life because I think everything comes naturally to all of you. And then you have this little rock star right here, Denice Chenault. Unbelievable. You're going to speak from the podium? Is that what you're doing? I would have brought you to the bench. Look how tall she is. Oh, she's actually going to sing. All right, this is good. Let's see what we have here. Okay, good. Let me be filled with kindness. See, I can even do a song. That's a church song. So cool. All right. That was a blasphemy. Blasphemy.
20 years it took for him to realize that I was brilliant.
Introduce yourself.
I'm Denice Chenault. Oh, I hate it when the rungs on the chair.
The rungs are the wrong place.
Yeah, I need one right there. Yeah, actually, I didn't really choose my topic. Tom kind of gave it to me. But you know, you've seen the business opportunity presentation, the PowerPoint, and normally I've always done the sort of the front half, about the company, about Doc, about the products, all that. Very comfortable talking about all that stuff. And then you get to the compensation part, and I'm like, well, I don't want to mess it up. I want to speak it clearly. I want it to be simple. I want it to be understandable. And so, yes, but here's the thing. He says all these notes. Well, look, really, they were on, I printed them out, you know, and so this is not 8 pages of notes, really. But,
how many pages are there?
Well, there's about 8 pages, yeah.
They
If they were typed out, they'd probably be like 3. That's what I'm saying.
Well, if they were a microchip, they'd be like really small.
So I spent a little time with Louis on the phone, Louis Ariaza, and and we kind of went through the slides, and what I really got is that just like, you know, I do a lot of public speaking, right? Standing up on the stage, and this will be my 4th year at the Women's Most Powerful Women in Network Marketing in business. Thousands of people. And then Tom and I have been at GoPro a couple of years in front of, you know, 10,000 people. And what I realize is that when you're presenting the opportunity, it's a lot like presenting in person. Luckily, we're doing it with a Zoom, so you can see people's reaction, because how I present a lot of times is I get moved and inspired by connecting with the audience, right? And it's really hard. The hardest thing for me to do is that daily dose call for a half an hour where you can't see anybody. That is like torture to me. And to have no feedback and just, you know, blah, blah, blah. Tom, no problem. He can go on. He loves the sound of his own voice, and he can just. I say that in a good way. But for me, I connect to people, right? And so I wanted to do the business opportunity presentation the same way. And so I realized that there's sort of certain rules that you have to follow when you're doing any sort of presentation, whether you're in front of people physically or whether you're doing it over a Zoom, like we're doing it with the opportunity presentation now. And so, first of all, you have to show passion. You know, you have to have, your voice has to come across fun and excited and inspiring without sounding like you're a crazed loony, right? Because you know some of those people too, where you go, all right, buddy, you know, like, take it down a notch, okay? And so you have to be fairly animated. You need to use your hands, but not like out there like this, because then people get distracted. Body posture is really important, and one of the most important books that I read on that was Amy Cuddy's book.
Presence.
PowerPoint.
Huh?
Presence.
Presence. Presence, because she talks about, you know, when you, especially as women, we tend to, you know, we tend to do this, we tend to make our bodies small. And from a physical standpoint, when you stand and you take up room, you come across more powerful. And not only that, you actually perform better. And so you can kind of, in fact, my daughter Courtney, she does a lot of presentations on in the tech world. She's like one of the very few women that are doing presentations. She's always with a bunch of men. She read that book and she said, I totally changed how I come across physically, because she said, I realize that a lot of times I'll be sitting in a meeting and I'll be really cold and I'll sit like she does this, she'll put her hand behind her head and she'll kind of sit like this, not even being aware of her physical presence, but she's just cold. She said, now I stand, I put my hand on another chair, and it just gives this vibe of taking up space and being more confident. You can feel it, can't you? So the other thing is, when you're doing presentations, you have to keep it fairly simple. That's why when I went into the coding part, which can be a little confusing, you want to keep it as simple as possible. I always think about the newbie walking into the room and what are they hearing and what are they thinking. One of the things you don't want to do is call attention to any mistakes that you make. So don't apologize. Oh my gosh, we've had so many technical difficulties. I'm so sorry for wasting your time. This won't ever happen again. I feel so bad. No, don't even, do not bring attention to anything that's gone wrong. First of all, they may not even notice it. And second of all, they're thinking, or if you say, oh, I remember Earlene Downey, she was, bless her heart, she passed away a few years ago, but she was a huge business builder on our 3rd level. And I don't know, a few of you remember Earlene, and she loved the tanning booth. She was, that was her, she loved the tanning booth. She was an art teacher for like 40 years. And she was just absolutely awesome. She built an incredible business in longevity, just organically after school and in the summertime. And but one of the mistakes she would make a lot of times is she was so humble that she would kind of call attention to things that have gone wrong in her 20 years of doing business, like, oh, you know, longevity, you know, we still have these awful websites. And well, the person walking in, they haven't even been to the website yet. You know, they have no idea of the fact that it's a good website or a bad website. So just when you're speaking, just remember how the new person is hearing it. Does that make sense? Let's see, what else? Smile, eye contact, stories. Stories are, that was one of the biggest things that I got from Lewis, is that you have to have, in order to create emotion, people connect to stories. And so it's not, when you're going through slides, what a lot of times people resort to is they just read what's up. I've got 10 minutes left. Oh, I've got 10 minutes left. Oh, fantastic. So they're connecting to, they want to connect to not the slide, they're reading the slide, and a lot of times people will read along with them. Well, they've already read it. You're just, you know, like being a first grade teacher. So what you want to do is, and the slides should be simple enough without too much print on them, so that they can sort of bullet point, they can read the slide and listen to you at the same time. But the only way it's going to come alive for them is if you bring in your own personal story, right? So when the slide came up about all the different ways that we got paid, there's a picture of me with the Tesla, and instead of pointing out like what people hate is they hate show-offs. Oh my God, you know that car is $140,000. Can you believe it? And I love that car. No, that's not what you want to do. I went to the fact that this is a far cry from where I came from 25 years ago, when I was sitting in my little 2-bedroom townhome with my son, and I heard a knock at the door. And I peeked through the hole, and I saw this big burly guy, and I knew right away what he was here for. It was the repo man. Right? Like, people are like, ooh, tell me more about that. You know? They don't want to hear the good stories. They want to hear about all the struggle that you went through, and you're overcoming it, because that's what people can relate to. So you want to make any presentation come alive with your personal stories, and most importantly, where you are at and how you overcame that. So there's a slide that says act or accept. Oh man, that is so powerful, right? Because you can either go on with your life, and kind of like Scott said, like if you're disengaged from what the answer is going to be, like they can choose it or not choose it, it's fine. But if they don't choose to do something differently, then they're going to accept the future as it already has been laid out. You know, that, like Juliet was saying, if your past predicts your future, well, then there you go, right? And so that slide is really powerful. Act or accept. What are you going to do today that's differently than yesterday? And I even said, hey, look, 10 years ago, when you thought about your life, today, is it what you imagined it to be? And for a lot of people, they would say no. Either financially or physically or emotionally, they're not where they were hoping to be. And so that's a really powerful slide. The other thing is, what I found is people want to laugh. You know, everyday life is so, you know, when you're trying to keep your head above water and just make it through the day, a little levity goes a long way. And so if you're able to bring a little bit of humor into it, and do it through stories, people love that. And I always remember that people don't remember what you say, but they remember how you make them feel. And they don't really even remember your words. They just remember, oh, she was fun. Oh, I related to her. That's what you want. And you do that through storytelling. Storytelling is the process of sharing facts, which are told with emotion and detail, right? So with that, you have to become vulnerable. You have to be able to, like Tom says, tell one on yourself. You know, all the stupid stories that you tell. People love that, you know, like running. I knew what he was going to say when he got to that red light. I knew it because I've lived it. I knew he was going to say he ran the red light. And, you know, but people love that. Oh, he didn't miss the entrance because he didn't know where the church was. No, he wasn't paying attention. Right? So, but people love those stupid little stories. But with that, you have to, there's a certain amount of humility that comes with being able to talk about yourself that way, right? And the only way you create that emotional experience is through storytelling. Okay, let's see. Yeah, okay. I think that's, oh, and as I close, one of the most important things is a strong close. So you'll notice when we do that presentation, and I really want you, because I am also the sort of person that I don't want to offend anyone, but you have to ask for the money. You have to ask for them to make the decision. You have to ask for the, you know, at the close. You have to ask, because people aren't going to just go, okay, I'm in. You have to ask them. And I always, whenever I'm presenting to someone, I always come from the standpoint of, well, of course you're going to be in. Like, why wouldn't you? So I have an assumption that's based upon their joining. So I speak it from the standpoint of, you're going to love this family that you just joined. You're just like us. Because people want to know a few things. That first of all, will it work for them, right? Will you be there to help them, and can they do it? That's really in the back of their mind. And so if you, throughout your presentations, stress, I'm going to be there when we're going to do it together. You're not going to be doing it alone. And look, I'm a mess. I've been successful, so of course you're going to be successful. Look at Tom, right? And that's all people want to know. And so you have to ask for the money. And so just simply, so how do you want to pay today? You take the emotion out. It's just a survey question, like Scott was talking about. Mm-hmm. It's just a survey. The survey is MasterCard, Visa, American Express, or Discover, right? A, B, C, D, or E. Which one, you know, how do you want to pay? And then you get to be quiet and wait for their response. Now, this is the point when you don't fill that silence with, you don't go back and try and sell them again. They've already heard it. Mm-hmm. They just need the space to be able to say yes or no. And if they say no, you get to say, fantastic. I love you. We will always be friends, and you know where to come if your circumstances change or if you decide differently. But more than anything, I want you to know that our relationship means more than a yes. Okay? So you leave that door open for them. You leave the light on so that if they think about you later on in their life, then they'll come back. So you disengage from the sorry, James, like, you're such a good timekeeper. But you have to ask the question.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And I know, especially as women, we're kind of like, oh, I hate that. But you have to do it. People are waiting for you to ask the question. Okay? I think that's it. That's my strong close. Ask the question.
Ask for the money.
All right. Guys, thank you.